Is the guys' audios on?
It should be, and the recording is started. Hi folks, this is Sue Bell and Matt DeCruz. We're going to show you the tricks and tips of Domain Web Studio. Today we're going to look at the first tab on the Domain Web Studio screen and focus on keywords and how you get keywords in and what you can do with them once you've got them. So Matt.
Yes, Sue.
Give us an
Right.
overview. Give us an overview of what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, I just thought it's very important. I've been really quiet, well, for the last, probably 2-3 months, through just rebuilding all the changes and tweaks based on user feedback and just to get the system to work really, really well. And like the headline says, you're removing the confusion factors and empowering the community. I really want the guys to get what we've built out because it's such a powerful application that from face value you don't actually realize what you've got in front of yourself. It's quite a monster. So I want to show the guys it's really easy to use, and I'll just start off going through the notes that is written here. Basically the silo framework, it rapidly converts your SEO data. Typically most people get SEO data. You've got your search volume, competing pages, page rank, in title, in URL, all that kind of stuff. But since we've sort of changed tack to focus more on the business side of things, we spend a lot of time working on the silo framework, and this is the most important part because this is like we'll be mapping out the structure of the online business. It's the foundations that everything gets built upon if you think of it in that point of view. So the benefits of the silo framework screen is it just makes things really, really fast. So I'm going to hop across quickly to DWS and just create a project. And in this presentation, we're just going to run through credit repair. Seeing as everybody's stressed out about recession with Europe collapsing and all the stuff going on, let's look at credit repair and see how we can make some money out of it. So I've logged into DWS, and the first thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a new cluster. And the cluster screen, the way to use clusters is typically to organize your stuff. You think of them as filing cabinets. So if you've got clients, you can create a cluster called clients, and you can put all your client projects in there, or you can create a cluster for a specific client. So for this exercise, I'm just going to call this credit repair, and we're just going to call this a credit repair market. And what we want to do in this project is just have a good look and understand what's going on there. And within this cluster, we'll probably create 2 or 3 niche sites focused around the credit market when we actually look at it. So once we created our cluster, now we're going to come to the actual business rules. And you can see within this cluster, we've got no projects yet. So we're going to click on the Add New Project tab. And we're going to start off with credit repair being our primary target keyword that we want to go after. We don't have a domain yet, so I'm just going to put one in. It's a fake one. Okay, let's stick the blog in. It'll probably be this /blog. And the reason why we put the URLs in over here is later on in the system when we come talk about the project management stuff, we'll be using those URLs to sort of build out your href tags, but I'll get that later on. So I'm just going to call this profile credit repair. Project type, this is the primary site. This is a free text area where you can fill in whatever you want. You can see it's WR in primary. And here we got our elevator pictures, long, short, a profile picture for a person, and a bio. So do you want to just speak about the elevator pictures over here and just explain to the guys what this is for under the social media account detail?
Sure. So my experience is when you go to create your different social media platforms, you're frequently asked for a brief description about your business and also a brief description about the person that you're making the account for. And so as we were doing multiple accounts and I was outsourcing this, I came to the realization that it was really helpful to have one elevator pitch. That way you can craft it carefully in advance rather than crafting it every time you're making a new social media platform, and then you can give it to your outsourcers or to your teammates, and they can just go off and do it. And that way you know that you've got the keywords in there that you're looking for. It's going to be consistent across all of the different platforms, and especially when you're doing local directories, you get a lot of kudos for having consistency. We'll get to other aspects of that later, but when we're talking about the business and the phone number and the actual business name, those things are really important to be consistent. But so all of that just started to factor into, we needed a centralized place where you could put all of that information so that it's easily accessible as you're going out to the plethora of media and creating your accounts.
Cool. So as we don't know what we're doing yet on this stuff, I'll just leave that blank. You can come back to this and update this here, or you can update it further down in the system. Thanks for that, Sue. So I want to look at the UK market. I'm using British pounds as my currency, and my silo market size, I'm going to make it to anything greater than 2 million. I'm going to class actually 1 million. I'm going to class my silos because it's not that big. 1, 2, 3, 6. So typically what you do over here is the category sizes where everything's smaller than that over there. If you're not sure about it, you can leave it. And we'll start our supporting articles. That's fine, 200. That's fine in there. So backlinks, I'll take this down to about $15 for backlink, and my article cost, I'll take it up to 25. I reckon that I'll get 25% click-through rate for my ranked pages. My website will probably convert at about 5% because the pain's pretty high in this market. People need to fix their credit to get access to more loans or to buy a house or to just sort out their things. So they're going to want to click and find an answer to the solution. So there I've looked at a painful situation in people's lives. A lot of people are battling with poor credit, and it's making life even difficult to get things they need. Okay, so if we're dealing with affiliate sites, you can fill in the conversion rate over here. And what this works out, this applies same for back office, where if you get a lead into your business and then the sales team within the office finds the person back and they got a certain conversion rate, you typically put that in and adjust the figures. So I'm just going to put in this at 50%, that 50% people will convert. We had a look on ClickBank at one of the products, and it's roughly about a 50% conversion rate on the sales on that guy's product.
So can I slow you down for just a second? So what you're meaning there is that your website conversion of traffic, you're going to have 5% of the people that hit you from Google are actually going to click through your affiliate ad on your website, and then 50% of those people are actually going to purchase the product or sign up the form or whatever it is that they have to do, right?
Yes, that's the assumption.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create the sales funnel that we envisage the people will be going through. I'm just being pretty conservative with these numbers over here. I'm sure we can get the conversion rates much higher, but we just want to look at the numbers and see which keywords will actually yield a return. That's the whole purpose of DWS.
Sure.
So if we list building in the same exercise, we can sell these lists of people coming in. If we even get them to opt in, if we get the 5% over here to opt into our guide or whatever we're giving away on our website, not on a client's website here, we can sell those leads on to other people that deal and work in the financial industry, and they pay anything between $5 and $25 just for a lead. So the people do buy leads off. So there's another revenue stream to always consider, and that's why we built the site opting on. Also, what this highlights for us in DWS is what keyword page that we put into our blueprint will potentially yield a high conversion rate, i.e. based on the amount of traffic coming to a specific keyword, we can sort of start seeing where we should be putting our call to actions for our opt-in boxes. Okay, so average profit here, I'm just going to make it $40 per lead. And what you can see has happened here is I've set my budget 10,000. My goal is £5,000 a month I want to make. That means I need to get 125 sales per month, and that means I need to drive 20 people to my site to create one sale. Therefore, I need 2,500 visitors, and for the affiliates, I've got to send basically 5,000 people to my site. So now I've got an idea of what I'm dealing with. I need 5,000 people in the UK a month to basically make me $5,000. So it's almost like a £1 per visitor is what I'll be earning.
So
If you think of it that way.
I want to slow you down again. If you go back up to where you've got the opt-in conversion rate. Now,
Yes.
the interesting thing with an opt-in conversion rate with a site like this is you've probably got multiple offers. You've got a lot of different people who are offering the credit rate, and not only can you sell it on, sell the email addresses on, but you can actually email those people different offers over the course of time. So you could actually have multiple conversions off of that email list.
Yeah, well, what we did in the call center industry is when I built the scripts for the guys, so the call center industry almost works the same as an opt-in list. It's just you got a person on the phone trying to convince you to buy something. But what we did with our data was we would segment and categorize the data so that if people rejected the calls, if we could squeeze out enough information out of them, they would typically tell us what they would be interested in. And then we would take that information and push it down into a table and then call them back with a different offer a few days later or a few weeks
Right.
later, because we now know sort of what the interests are just by doing surveys with the people. So in your opt-in, you could basically have a drop-down selection with the offers they have, and they can select what would interest them the most, and then that means you can just go off and find offers that match that category. So when you send out your email or news to those people, you can segment the newsletters into the groups and
Right.
provide them with what they're looking for. So that also increases your conversion rates.
Excellent.
So it's a really powerful feature that there, because it gives you an idea of what you're dealing with. So not only will you be making sales on what you're looking at over here, but you got the back office sales, and you can even sell there's so much you can do with this. The call center industries are always looking for leads, and I know in the UK there's a place called leadbay.co.uk, I think, and all they do is gather leads and they sell the core data to call centers, and depending on which sector in the financial market the person falls under, the leads can go up to anything up to like 50 pounds per lead, and they sell them by the thousands. So if you can really build the engine, you can build a proper business around the whole thing. Okay, so so any other questions you have on this the screen here?
No, I think that's pretty clear. You get down to like the last couple of blocks in the traffic and conversion calculator. You just have to fill in those two last blocks or the two first blocks, and everything else is calculated automatically, right?
Yeah, as you're moving through this section here and those two there, it just fills out the rest. So now we've
Excellent.
got an idea what we're dealing with. We need to target 5,000 people. We have to find 5,000 people to meet our goals.
All right.
So we've got a very clear idea of where and what we need to do before we even start the project. So we just click Create Profile. And what we'll come up with is the keyword screen, and at the moment you can see it's empty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import some data, and the first tab I want to talk about is the keyword import keyword data tab, and this is a universal keyword importer tool, and if you got keyword data sets that you use that's not in the list, you can just fire it across to us. It's not very difficult for us to add them in. Just send us a sample of the CSV. We only import CSV files. We don't deal with Excel or XLS. We've just stuck it to CSV to keep things simple. So I'm going to use a few different samples. So I'm going to grab Market Samurai and I'll pull that information in. And while that's importing, and I'll hop across to Kraken, and I want to get my list of keywords over here. And based on Kraken, there's a massive market. It's a thing. There's a lot of money being spent in this market. It's a very, very rich market. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to say show all keywords. And when I get this list of keywords from Kraken, I'm going to save this. Right, so that's saved. One thing I do always, just by default, when I open files up, is I just resave the CSV files. It just makes things, the importing easier when, let's just get all files. There we go. All you do is just go save as, comma delimited CSV. That's all you want to do. Go save, yes, yes. Just resave it and close it down. Sometimes when the tools get exported, especially with Market Samurai, when we export their files out, DWS doesn't like what they give us, and it rejects it. And it's got nothing to do with DWS. It's the way they actually export the file out. It doesn't work properly. So when you resave it as a CSV, it works 100%. So there, in a few seconds, I've imported Market Samurai, and now I'm going to import Kraken Voma data. And that's going to give us a whole bunch of keywords to work with. So what happens now is when DWS imports this data in, it basically starts sorting, ranking, and filtering. And you can see here we've got nearly 1,000 keywords in the grid. And I'm just going to take you through the other tabs quickly before we start this. And we can look at the business rules and filters. Over here in this first one, we're going to show keyword rows. We can have an option of 100 up to 2,000. You can select as many keywords that you want to see at once. I prefer looking at 30 keywords. That's my own personal favorite. I like to look at segments of 30 keywords when I work. And I just find it makes the screen loads much faster. The golden niches, this little function over here, what it does, it puts a gold star next to keywords that meet these rules. So any keywords that are less than 100,000 and make me £1,000 a month, it's going to show it. So I'm just going to put 500 in there, and I'm just going to make this 10,000.
Wow.
And this will flag a golden niche. Here we've got our other settings, backlink costs, content costs, and here's our conversion rates. So we can go through this and we can basically always see if we forget what we want to do. So I'm going to update this quickly. Actually, wait, let me leave the keywords big so we can just show you the golden flags. Let's just make this 200. Update that. If there's any golden niches, it's going to show up. So what's going to happen now is DWS is going to run through all the keywords, rank them, filter them, and sort them so that all the best keywords that have the highest potential of making you the most money for your business float to the top. And what we'll do next is we're just going to run through and quickly map out the silos. So if I look down this page, it's still busy loading.
That's because you got 200 keywords.
Yeah, it takes long. It's just got to calculate all the stuff.
Yeah.
You can see tons of red X's where we're not going to be making money. And I find that very interesting. So when we hover over X, it gives you a description. So the cost to develop this keyword's way more than what we've set for the budget. But no golden niches have popped up. Okay, so let's go adjust things quickly. Let's look at our business rules and filters. I'll take that down to 30. Financial goals 5, what's for budgets? I was going to make this 50 grand. Update that. And this will give us the top 30 keywords that are the most profitable. We can start looking at this credit repair market and see where the most money is. So bad credit floats right to the top, and it's a silo candidate. We can see by the S, 3 million phrase match. There's a lot of people searching for that, Sue.
No kidding. So this is a great way to see whether or not you've actually got the budget to be able to enter into the market, huh?
Yeah.
If you're doing affiliate.
So we set the budget up to 50 grand.
Yeah, if you're doing affiliates, you could try a couple of different affiliate products or affiliate markets and see which is going to net you the most ROI and where your budget categories fit, where your ability to be able to actually get stuff. Of course, promoting and ranking are two different things. You can always promote without actually getting the rankings and make some money before you even get ranked. But carry on.
Yeah. That's perfect what you're saying. What we've done is, but especially on what Sue said there, we've built a feature into DWS when you're mapping out your silos where you can actually exclude it from your budget. And this exclusion basically creates a placeholder or a page. So you could take a keyword like bad credit, and it's going to cost you 15 grand to get ranked for over the lifespan of the campaign to get ranked for that one. If you don't want to pay that money out, you can exclude it, but you can still put it into your silo framework, and then you can build out the categories underneath it. So you're sort of getting the best of both worlds, and you know already what you want to promote and what you don't want to promote. And what's really good is, what I like about this is we can see what we're dealing with, but the pay-per-click cost here, when I'm looking through this, we can see here on credit reports, there's a hell of a lot of money per click for credit reports. And another that Experian in the UK has got an affiliate program where they pay pretty well for people to sign up for the credit reports, and there's a lot of promotion on TV and all those kind of things. So that's definitely a keyword I would look at seriously, just based on that.
Right.
Cost per click over there.
Definitely.
That keyword is worth 20 grand a month if you were getting your $40.
Right.
Or your £40 per sale. So there you could already go look and see roughly what you get for that. So how do we map out our silos, and how do we work really quickly? Because when we look at this, we've got silos, categories, supporting articles, everything's all mixed up in it, all this stuff. So typically what I do first is I say, show me all the silos, and I start at the top of the vertical, and I just look down what is actually going on in the landscape. Previously, you used to use the creamy filter to do this, to sort of give us the top level overview. But now with this filter system that's now built in here, we can predefine what we want to see, and we can sort of show the guys the data very quickly, and we can just flip them across and watch our structures build as we map out the silos. So when we look at this now, we've got all our silos: bad credit, credit check, credit rating, credit report, consumer credit, best credit, free credit report, credit services, bad credit, bad credit history, credit file. And out of this, we can see here that we can make our money back in 2 months and annually. This one here, we won't make our money back in 2 months, but we will make money by the end of the year. So the way this works is, from the left to the right, we have the sales funnel. We've got our competing pages, we've got our search volume, we've got our conversions, how many potential actual conversions will take place, and this is based on actual sales. Even in the settings screen, we said 5% conversion on our website and then 50% on the affiliate side. That's the total amount, including the affiliate sales. Backcredit is going to take us 16 months to get ranked, and it's showing us how many backlinks we need and how many articles, pieces of content that we'll need to get published where that keyword is mentioned in it, on our site and on our blog, in our primary ring. We then can see the cost, what it will cost us if we actively promote this keyword, and how much revenue it should make us per month, and how much revenue it should make us per year. So there you're looking at $1 million keyword.
Wow.
Based on those settings, bad credit is $1 million industry, and I've worked for 4 years in the financial sector, and I know, like in Scotland, they've got a thing called a trust deed, and that deals with people who are basically just before bankruptcy. A trust deed sort of saves them from bankruptcy, but puts them into a credit plan. And for the companies that deal with this, each client that they pick up, even if it's a family, if the husband and a wife go into a trust deed, the company will make £12,000. So they make £6,000 off each person. And the process to get a guy into a trust deed takes them about 8 weeks. 8 to 12 weeks is the process. So you can see very clearly how much money is being thrown at those keywords just to get the people, because it's worth a lot of money to these companies. So here we got our pay-per-click data, and this sort of complements, you can see about the cost, the pay-per-click cost, you can see where the money's being spent. Like for example, a free credit report, £22 is being spent per click. There's a hell of a lot of money, £330,000 a year is spent on that keyword on pay-per-click side. But it's going to cost you £8,000 just to get ranked for it. So it's cheaper to get ranked for this than it is to actually promote it.
That's amazing.
So the grid provides you with a very, very interesting overview of what you need to do with. So now we can look at this, and with the keywords we brought in, we've got a lot of options over here. So when we hover over the $ here, it tells you it's profitable, and what it does is it takes your cost and it takes it off your profit. So that keyword, after you've paid everything, you'll have $74,000 left if you achieve all your goals that you set in your business rules. You've got to remember, everything runs back to the business rules tab. What you define here, this is what the system's saying, okay, you will achieve those marks. So if you're going to be clever and overshoot, your stats are going to be wrong. So always be conservative. You can even take this down to 30, and let's just say 10%. Let's have a look at this on a pretty low conversion scale and see what happens to the data. The reason why I'm showing you this is I want to show you this almost like a modeling tool that you can create models for your clients and spit out different data results saying, look, if you guys achieve these KPIs, key performance indicators, this is what the potential is. If you achieve these potential KPIs, that's what you'll see. So on those conversions, none of these keywords are going to be profitable, excepting bad credits, even after a year. So you got to convert in this market when we're looking at it for it to be profitable. So what's good about this is once you've looked at the market, you can actually speak to a client. And one of the first things I've done here on how to make money with DWS was keyword analysis and comparison for clients. And that's basically where you review currently what the client is targeting. You find missed opportunities like we saw over there, and we basically drill 2 to 3 hours, do analysis, and we look at the modeling, and we charge the client basically $400 forward plus a 30-minute consultation explaining to him. But the consultation should actually always lead up to upselling him to a blueprint so he can get into something that's more profitable. Because with DWS now we can start seeing how we can unravel how the person is going to make money in this market. So we know that we need to get at least a minimum of 5% conversion over there, and we need to get at least a 5% this. So let's put this at 10%, because we know there's a lot of pain, and let's just be pretty optimistic and see what happens to the grid now. So all of a sudden, if we reach those KPIs, we've got a lot of more opportunities that are staying open for us, and we can sort of start seeing straight away which silos we should consider working with up front. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm just going to open up a few questions before we actually start moving silos across, and we can just answer your questions. Sue, would you like to just manage that and maybe speak to the guys?
Sure. So Joey's asking, are we saying that we can include keywords that are out of our budget but otherwise desirable and relevant to the blueprint, leave it out of the active market spend, and then bring it into the blueprint later? Is that easy to do?
Yes. Joey, I'll show you how to do that right now. Right, so let's assume we want bad credits in our blueprint. We know this is silo keyword, we know that there's money being spent on it, and we know that there's enough traffic and there's enough stuff surrounding bad credit. If we drill deeper into this, we would find a whole subset of keywords that we could potentially rank. Now here's the trick with silo architecture. When you place a silo keyword in a silo, the sub-keywords that lay underneath it, over a period of time, when you get to like 10 or 15 months down the road and you've got these supporting keywords ranked, the support that they provide makes it much easier for ranking for bad credit. So you could revisit this keyword in, say, a year's time with your client, and that keyword will be ranked somewhere in the rankings, and you'll probably be in the top 500 or top 300 just by default without even doing anything for it. Just having it sitting there incubating will get you in the search engines and ranking because of the theming. So this is the trick. What we're going to do is we're going to take this keyword and we're going to click on this. I'm first going to click on this little page here. The plus sign, this is something that's also very good. If you want to see really what's going on inside a keyword, when you click that plus sign, we draw even deeper down into it, and we've created a filter that looks at 17 scores or 17 perspectives of that specific keyword. And it runs through the traffic to profit sales funnel, and it gives a quality score at the bottom. So what it does is we look at the click-throughs, to the on-page conversions, to the backlink content costs, to the income potential, to the income versus expenses, to profit and net. And we've outlined the headers over here, and we give you the values of what's going to happen. So you can actually look into that keyword and see what happens. And right at the bottom, you get a score, and this keyword's got a really good score. So it's a good keyword because it meets all the criteria for your specific keyword you're looking at. So we're going to take bad credit now, and we're going to move it across into our blueprint, and we're going to exclude it from the blueprint. So to move it across, all we're going to do is click on this icon over here. Let's wait for the page to load.
Yeah.
It's called the Keyword Silo Manager. What this does is it tells you your budget set at 50,000. Less, you're not adding anything, it's all in place, and we can see this didn't cost us 15 grand. So we don't want to pay 50 grand for that keyword, so we're going to check this box, exclude from the budget. Now, we know this is a silo keyword, and we want to add it as a new silo. When you open up the drop-down menus, you'll see these color bars, red, black, blue, and green. What you do is you match the colors. So you can move a keyword into the silo blueprint, but if you want to remove it later on, you just basically send it back to research and match the color. Research, so it's research. We want a silo, so we're going to match black with create a new silo. And all we're going to do is move the keyword. So what is going to happen now is that keyword is going to move out of our keyword grid and shift across into our blueprint. So there it sits. We've added bad credit, but it's not added any it's not anything to us. If we want to move another keyword, you'll see that we've not actually incurred any cost yet. It's not charged us for that keyword. Our budget's still intact. Okay. So the way DWS works is you can just keep on importing keywords, and it works on a principle of first in sticks. So if you're using multiple data sets, we've built DWS so it's universal. It works with any keyword tool. You can actually use a custom import tool if we don't have it in our list, and you can import keywords in. And once bad credit's in the system, even if you've got it in all your other keyword lists, you don't have to worry about it because it's not going to import it again. There will only always be one unique keyword, regardless of how many data sets you're using from multiple different sources. The only thing we do say, though, is always try and make your data phrase match and monthly. If you contact us and you want us to put in a custom data set for you, say you've got some new tool that's come out that you really like, if the data is daily, just tell us that it's daily, because we need to just adjust the import, the universal importing tool to factor things out and give it to you. So, Joey, I hope that answers your question. So there we got bad credit in the system. It's excluded from the blueprint, and that's now a placeholder. What we could do now is we could take bad credit, and we hover over bad credit. It gives us that content development cost, and it tells us that there's 3,880,000 competing pages. And I want all the categories that will fall underneath that. So what I've done now is I've filtered by bad credit, the solid. I've set the threshold, which is the highest layer, and I said give me all the categories. So what I want to do is I want to look at all the categories underneath bad credit and see what is available over there. So yeah, you can see we've got all our categories, and they all fall within the range that's not greater than the actual the silo term. Okay, so what we can do now is we can cherry pick the keywords we want out of these, and we can start moving them underneath this. So we've got bad credit rating, credit repair, fixed bad credit, and over here you can wow, look at this one, Sue. Bad credit report, £51 per click,
Dang.
and it's 500,000 competing pages. That's definitely something you guys want to add in.
How does the pay-per-click cost annually? Oh, that's the cost per month.
There's not many searches. There's like 100 searching. I'm just saying there's something
Right.
to always watch out for is where the money's being spent. It's a weird. It's one of these weird little keywords.
Right.
Not much search volume, 170 a month, but there's a lot of money being spent to advertise on it. It's super, super high. Get
That's
credit with bad credit. There,
that's
£32, you click.
that's not the cost per click. That's the cost per month. You're calling off.
Ah, sorry, looking at the wrong one. Gutted. I thought we were on a golden niche there. My apologies, guys. I also make mistakes sometimes. So what I've done is we've added the silo term, and now we just filtered by categories, and we can go basically cherry pick and shift things across over here. Are there any more queries or questions on the exclusion part of DWS? Are you guys all fine with that?
I've got a couple more questions. They're not exactly along those lines, but you answered Joey's question. Brian wants to know, why was the article writing component of the DNA braid dropped in DWS 3.5? I think it was just moved, the article writing component of the DNA braid.
It's been merged into the project manager screen.
That's what I thought.
Brian's talking. Remember we had article module here, and then we had the blueprint, the promotional blueprint.
Oh, right. It was actually a different tab, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian, to answer your question, we found that those two tabs really confused a lot of people, and that's the reason for rewriting that whole block of the system, where we moved it into the project management system. On Thursday we did the project management in detail, because it's a big app just in its own, where we've enhanced the whole article writing module in there. So when you assign your tasks, whoever gets the tasks, they just log in and their tasks are there and they just write, and all the metadata that you do in your framework and your braid over here gets directly imported into the screens, and they know exactly what they need over there.
Yeah, it's actually really sweet.
It works really, really well, and it's more intuitive now than it was before. So it's not been removed, it's just been put in a better location, and it's been upgraded and revamped so that you don't have to think too hard. Like, for example, in the DNA braid, we already assign default keywords that you should use for you. So if you're not too sure on what you're doing, the system suggests these are the keywords you need to use in your content for each keyword within the silo frame. What's the next question, Sue? I think we got that one there.
Yeah. Let me see. I think that's all the questions that we have right at the moment.
Okay. Guys, the silo framework screen here is really, really powerful, and one thing I'm not showing yet is the charts. And excuse me, I just coughed there. The chart screen basically shows us a cross-section of 4 different perspectives of the data grid that we look at the moment, but for some reason it's not loading, so let's refresh this page. And while we're waiting for that, we've got all the data here that you can export. So you can export your blueprint, you can export all, and you can export the filtered data from this file over here. So whatever filter you set, you can actually export it out as filtered, or you can export the blueprint that you built out, all the keywords within the blueprint. And we provide much more information. It's much more detailed than the actual grid over here. So on the charts tab, when this loads up, what it does, it gives us a visual perspective of the data set from four different perspectives. It gives us the top 15 most profitable keywords, so we can see credit card, credit cards, and when you hover over it, you can see the affiliate monthly and annually, what you're making credit, versus the business monthly and annually. This is just meaning if you're a business and you do direct sales, you don't actually deal with affiliate stuff, you can do a cross comparison between affiliate sales and your own business sales. Next, we show you the top paid keywords. So you can see credit cards, like those keywords, I wouldn't even look at those ones because a whole different market and stuff. Credit ratings, credit score. So if you get keywords that come in that you know is not relevant, I would suggest just deleting them from your data set so everything can readjust and you can get a better perspective. So let me just get rid of credit cards. I don't want to work with those keywords. So all I do is 100 million, whatever that is there. Let's say all. I just readjust my filter for credit card. And any keyword with credit card, I can basically just delete it when it comes back. So those are the ones there. Credit cards for bad credits, that might be something to keep. Credit card debts, that's something to keep. Visa credit card, no. Credit card, no. That's something you can keep because another thing is be two if we don't want this. So we just delete those and get rid of them. So what's great about the solid framework screen, you can, as you're working, you can just merge and carry on. So I want to get back to this bad credit stage, and I also want to show you a new feature that we created to work even faster, because it's great to basically move one keyword over at a time, but if you're really busy and you don't have the time to faff around, we created a feature that you can bulk move keywords, and I'll just show you how to do that quickly. So we set a filter. This filter, the way it works is it remembers the sticky filter. It remembers where you are and what your last setting was. So even if you leave today, you shut your computer down, you come back tomorrow, the keyword will sit indefinitely till you change it. If you don't want it, it's click reset and it removes the stickiness. So it's a really good feature, and it's per project. So if you've got 10 projects you're working on, it'll always remember for that specific project what you want to do. So I'm going to go to Solid Framework over here, and I'm going to click on the Advanced Solid Framework Manager, and I want to move a whole batch of bad credit keywords across for the guys. I'll show you the guys how to do this.
So the filter hole is the same filter whether you're on the regular keyword decision screen or whether you're on the advanced keyword decision screen?
Yeah, it sticks. You can even leave those screens, go somewhere else in the system, and when you come back, it'll still be there. And it's per project. It's specific per project as well. So if you're working on 3-4 different projects, you can leave one project, set it, and go to another one, work on that, come back, and it'll be stayed. It'll be where you left off. That's basically what it's done. So we've tried to make it as smart as possible to facilitate the speed that you work at. So I want to add a batch of keywords to bad credit repair. So I'm going to click on bad credit repair. I select the keyword over here that I want to use. My filter is preset already for it. And in the first column is the keywords we want to move as categories underneath that over there. And the second one is the exclude category. So let's just say I want to add these top 1, 2, 3, those keywords there, but I want to exclude these from the budget purely because they're just good article ones.
Okay.
I'm just showing you this purely for demonstration purposes. I'm not putting much thought into these words, so
okay.
I'm just assuming they're good because of the conversions and that work. But over here, I can really see that keyword make money within a year, so I'll focus on that. But the rest of these keywords, it's basically saying over here, it exceeds my development cost by $695.
Right.
So after investing 6 months to get ranked positions 1 3 for 12 months that exceeds your estimated development cost by 695. So you can make a call just by reading the note as you hover over it. It tells you what the problem is. So the amount of money that our cost is 1995, but our revenue is 105. So it's indicating to you that it's going to cost you more than you're going to make per month. And even after a year, you're not going to make the total cost back. But this is where you make decisions on what you're doing, and you think, okay, cool. Getting ranked for these keywords, I'm not going to actively promote them, but having the content out there, it still forms the theme of the silo. So we can have them, but we want to focus on where the money is first, and that's why I've left you there, because they got the potential, whereas these ones don't. I can revisit these later. So I hope this makes the understanding a bit easier for you guys. From the screen here, if you click on the delete, it'll knock your keywords out, so that's why we put on the far right, so it's sort of out of sight. So I click Move Blueprint button. Did I click it properly? Oh, there we go. And when the page loads again, we've effectively mapped out a full silo in 2 clicks. So this is how great the system works. So if we press Control F and we go bad credit, and then we go highlight all, you can see the keyword stemming, how it starts. So we've got bad credit, so we've got repair, we've got rating, we've got fix, report, scores, credit with, help. All these keyword stemmings over here all support bad credit. And that's effectively how easy it is to map out a silo with DWS. We first find our silos, we move them across. We then go silo by silo and we map out our ideas as categories. And the same applies as a supporting layer. You can go one layer deeper down over here. I'm not going to get too much into that because that's advanced siloing. But yeah, you can see how easy it is to map out a silo structure literally in seconds. So if you know exactly what you want and you've done your SAQs and your FAQs and you've understood the market, you know what keywords you're actually looking for. You've verified them by looking at the numbers. You've excluded the ones that are going to cost you up front, and you're really, as you're working, you're building your promotional plan of what you want to include into the whole process. So guys, if you've got any further questions on this, I'm happy to answer any questions you have whatsoever, because we're here to help you and we really want you guys to get what we're doing here.
We've got a good question from Brian. He wants to know what the silo category and supporting articles are for Australia. And I think he's probably meaning what the competing pages values are.
You'll have to get that from their search engine. That's where you'll get that information.
It's really market dependent, not really country dependent.
Yes, it varies wherever you go. There could be a product in Australia that no one uses in the rest of the world or doesn't even know about, and it could be very popular. And you'll have a whole different subset of search data related to that. So one of the reasons why we built DWS the way it is, so that you can use any keyword tool to import the data. And then DWS takes that SEO data and then merges it with your KPI data and gives you a new data set that you can start making business sense of. Yeah, I guess that's it. It depends the country. If you have to get keywords from Australia, then you've got to draw on the Australian search engines.
Right, so he's saying that what he meant was the starting points for the filters, for example, the UK data you provided to him specifically.
Oh, for the UK data, I just went to Kraken and I just set my project to the UK. In Market Samurai, I set the project to the UK. So I've just selected the search engine that I wanted, gathered my data sets up, and in the last keyword, I basically just went to the UK again over there. So I've gone to the locale where I want the information from. I've gathered my data set and I've pushed it into the system. I've told the system that I'm working in Australia, or in our example, we're working in the UK. and that just helps us do certain things in the background for you guys with that. Does that answer the question?
Wait and see if he comes back with another comment. In the meantime, Terry's asking about how he can move Kraken blueprints into DWS. Several sites built from Kraken blueprints that can be put into DWS and used which keywords to promote data. And I'm working on that. That's something that that I really want to have happen, but it doesn't. It's that functionality isn't there yet. Brian's come back and he says, I meant like Sue previously said, silos at 7 million pages for the U.S. market and above, and so on.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so
He's talking. I know what he's talking about. Sorry, Brian. It takes us a bit old. We're a bit thick sometimes. You're talking about the category sizes over here. I typically start off and I look at the data set, and from just previewing the data over here, in Kraken we've got the competing pages. You can sort of get an idea of. I'll just show you a few examples of what the competing page ranges are. Google. And I'm looking at the credit repair market. Now, repair and credit have two different markets underneath it, so that I'm sort of coming in from this angle and I'm looking down. So credit repair comes into the story at about 2 million. We'll see it over here. So there, credit repair is 500,000 phrase match. What I'm saying is I want everything greater than that. So I know what that is there. So that's why I sort of dropped the bar on setting these settings. Now, the silo settings, the reason why we've done it this way, it's dependent on what you're doing. The whole thing about a silo framework is you want to segment your data into 3 layers. And with those 3 layers, you can then create a filing structure for your documentation, which is your silo structure. So if you're doing a niche and the largest term was 500,000, that potentially could be your silo setting. So you could say anything above 500,000 would be my silos. Anything below 500,000 and greater than 100,000 would be my categories, and anything smaller than 100,000 is basically going to be my supporting keywords for that category. And what that does, it creates the 3 layers of data, and we can then break it up and start working with it effectively. So typically what I like to do is I like to look at, okay, what is the market size? I know that we're dealing with a theme, with a specific keyword we're looking at, and based on that I make my decisions. And if you're battling to find it, basically it's always going to be whatever your silo is, the category range is going to be 1 smaller than that. Then the upper threshold for the supporting articles will basically be where you want to draw the line in the sand.
You know, one of the things that I do sometimes with a new market that I'm not familiar with, it's a little bit hit and miss. And I'll put in a number for silos that I think is going to work, and then I go back to that filter screen and I hit the filter for silos and I take a look at everything that comes up in the silo category, and if all of those words are just way too broad, then I bring that number down a little bit. So I'm couching it against my FAQs and my SAQs and the actual keywords that are returned. And I do the same thing for the categories. I come back and I look at the categories, and if the categories are not falling in that mid-range that I'm looking for, then I adjust that number again, either up or down, depending on how I want that to go. And the same for the supporting articles, until I get the segmentation in there that I'm looking for, so that I've got broad topics at the top that aren't too broad, and topics in the middle that are going to support those upper echelons, and then supporting keywords that are truly supporting keywords. And it's not a by country thing totally. It's a by market thing. If you're working in a niche, then your silos are going to be probably around 1 million pages in the U.S. market, or it might be 500,000. It also depends on what your budget is as to what keywords within that market or niche you're actually going to want to target. So I use those two filters. I use the show all keywords on and off so that it's meeting my budget requirements in conjunction with what my silo category and articles are until I get the keywords coming back that are the kind of keywords that I'm looking for.
Just to support what she's saying there as well, Brian, is another thing that does affect data is the actual size of the country. So if you look at the UK in comparison to the US, the search results will always be 20, 30 times larger. So something that could be like 7 million phrase match, which is classed as a small silo, as an example, potentially could only be 500,000 in the UK, just typically because you focus on a UK-based product. So it depends on the product. You can't really focus on the country because it's a funny thing. I've had a lot of chats with Sue about this when we were working on the repossession market. This was back in 2007, I think. We were looking at this, and I was saying to Sue, repossession in the US was something like 7, 8, 10 million was the typical phrase terms, but in the UK they're like 500,000. It was
Right.
chalk and cheese.
I'm still looking at that. These numbers that you've got here for credit, they're a fraction of what it would be in America at the moment. So it's insane, yeah.
So if you're going by country, it's also determined by how many users and how many people are actually speaking about the conversation within that country that will determine how big or small that actual market is. So it's a weird. You got to go by market. You can't really go by country. The only thing by country you can think of is if it is like a European country. Typically they're small, and in comparison to like the big countries in the world, like the America and other places, there'll be totally different playing fields. Like Australia, for example. Think of Australia. Australia is a huge country, but the populace is not as big. It's just they live on a big rock, and they all live along the coast. All in the middle is just the desert and stuff. So it's very strange how it works. But that's typically you got to go by the market and get a feel for it, like Sue said,
Yeah.
using your filters and just feeling your way through it. There is no right and there is no wrong. You just got to basically use the data and map out what is there, and then decide what you want to promote first. The only godsend that I can say, or the saving grace, is even if you've excluded that keyword and you've written your placeholder articles for all these years, but you're actively promoting and driving backlinks into these keywords, and you're promoting them and all that kind of stuff, the search engines are still going to come in. They're going to read back credit and they're going to read all this. They're going to pick up all the information you're doing over here on those two keywords there, and they're going to make up their mind of how good your content is. And they're going to give you the points and get you ranked accordingly. But all these keywords will get indexed. And from experience, what I've noticed with silo architecture, I've bumped guys off their places just simple with a single silo and 5 articles, and I've just written really good content that's thematically sound. We've injected the DNA braid into it, and we just got them indexed. And I've shown that the actual ranking climbings where within 2 or 3 months they come in at 700 by month 1. Up to 300, 3 months we're sitting there on the first page in the top, and that's with minimal backlinks, purely because of how the structures work.
Good. We don't have any more questions at the moment. Is there anything else that you wanted to show them today?
Just today I just wanted to take the guys through the silo framework, and I wanted to show the guys how to do this. The last thing I want to touch on is how they can make money with this screen. I guess that's the most important question of everything. We've dealt with the technical functionality. As you guys can see, it's super easy. If you're comfortable moving a batch of keywords on the advanced silo thing, select the keyword you want to put the keywords underneath, cherry pick, exclude what you want as placeholders, press submit, whack, it puts it in. Now, how do we turn this task into creating money? And the one thing is you can actually do a consultation with your clients. Or someone comes to you and says, yeah, I want to build blah, blah, blah. They give you a little spiel, but they don't want to spend a lot of money because they're not sure of who you are. What you can do is a cross analysis. You can actually look at what they're targeting, what keywords they've got on their site, what they're targeting, and then you can go do a bit of research and you can see the missed opportunities that they've missed when I've actually built out the whole data set. And typically what you can do there is for 3-4 hours working, you charge like $400, which includes a half an hour consultation where you can look at their website, you can make suggestions, you can show them the results from this, and you can export the data out and give them these keyword ideas. It's up to them what they would do with it if you want to give it to them. But you use that opportunity to upsell the stuff to actually creating the guys a silo structure, even if it is just one silo structure that they built onto their website. So what I wrote out here typically was you do the keyword analysis and comparison for your client. So you go look at his keywords, say to him, give me your top 10 or 20 keywords. Look at his website is built, see where it's indexed, see if there's anything that needs to be fixed, and then look at their theming and how they structured the site out. And just write a short list of what needs to get done and what hasn't been done, and then use the keyword decision screen to show them the missed opportunities. So you can say to the guys, bad credit, if you focus on that, that keyword could be worth $178,000 to your month when you own it within 16 months, but it's going to cost you 15 grand. So you can either work up to it or not. If they're coming in at a bar where you know their threshold, you can actually come here and limit so that the guy doesn't want to spend more than, say, 4 grand in total. You just put 4,000 in there, and what DWS will do is it'll go and filter all the keywords that fall within his range. And you can actually see, is this guy's well investing in this project, or is he trying to shoot too high? So credit my is the only keyword that comes back. That's all that there is that comes back for this guy here. So you can use the tool to segment the data. You can use it to basically find out what range the guy wants to come in, and if his range is low, maybe he needs to not look at bad credit, but he needs to start looking down at fixed bad credit, for example, and that will become his silo. That cost is only $1,600, so you could focus just on that there and build out a single silo for him doing that. And what happens is with the consultation of 30 minutes, when you chat to the guy about this over 30 minutes, you all sort of show him the missed opportunities, and then you just lead him in to getting a silo built. You can either do it, if he doesn't want to touch his website, he can put it on the blog, and you can build the silo out on his blog and have the backlinks leading into his site, driving traffic that way, and he'll see how that all works. And as soon as you start getting the guy into the business of doing it all out, then this is where you start creating the continuity. So you can charge him once off to create the silo structures. They can implement themselves if they know what they're doing. If they don't know how to implement it, you can then add additional fees to have you go and build it out for them. If they don't write articles, then you can start charging them for the article and the content development of all this kind of stuff. And then you can also offer them a geo-targeted silo blueprint, and all you do is you export the blueprint out to DWS just by using export blueprint that you've mapped out, and you just use the append feature in Excel to append the keywords that are geo-targeted to the silo blueprint, and you can have that mapped out and you can sell that to the guy. So we just touched the tip of the iceberg on one feature over here. We can make money pretty easy, and you can train someone up to do it. So you can get an intern, you can basically give an intern a job, and he can just sit and do this all day long till he gets really comfortable. All you do then is you log into DWS, oversee what he's done, tweak it, adjust it, and then move on to the next project. These guys in DWS that are selling the blueprints. They actually train the blueprints and they're marking them out, and they're selling them for up to $2,500 per blueprint. Not actually installing them or building the website out for the guys. They're just selling the guys the plan for $2.5 grand. They're going out, they're mapping out, they're researching the market, they're mapping out the keywords, they're giving the guys the whole plan. And when you get through the whole process, everything gets mapped out, and by the next version that we release, we're going to have the reporting manager in there, which is a quote engine, which will help you do quoting for your clients and stuff as well. That's pretty close by now. So you can use this tool very easily to create money, just this one page, without even going into detail of any of this other stuff. You can start creating sales and building base tomorrow just using this over here. Any questions, guys, on this? I've got tons of ideas of how you can use this.
We've got Chris, who brings up the point we haven't looked at the Manage Blueprint tab yet.
manage blueprint. Oh, sorry. Good one there. So the manage blueprint tab, this is just where your blueprint gets segmented into the different categories and different layers, and you can make it. You can basically go and see all the costs and the revenue, and if they're profitable, you can dig down this specifically into the blueprint. If we look at the categories, we can see there's all the categories. So we can see the parent theme, keyword, back credit, and these are the siblings. One thing to note here is when there's siblings linked, the move function is disconnected, and if you want to get that keyword out of your blueprint, you need to disconnect all the siblings that are associated to it, and you simply change it all back to review. Supporting article man, and if keywords get lost, they'll appear up over here in the orphan tabs. So the manage silos or manage blueprint is just a screen you can have open on the side that basically just allows you to very quickly keep a tab on what you're building out without having all the distractions of all the other dots on the other screens. Let's just open up that one again. I want to show you guys one more thing. So as we started mapping out a blueprint, what happens down here is you can see your budget, and you can see how much of your budget you got left and what you've invested into the project. So you can see the total cost. That total cost is for the lifetime of the project to get the keywords ranked. So it's not like a monthly cost. Then here you can see what the blueprint will bring into the business monthly and annually, and as an affiliate what you will earn monthly and annually. So depending on what you're doing, you can see very clearly what the numbers are, and you can see that you've got 2 keywords flagged that are promotable. This traffic analysis here looks at the average of all the stuff within the blueprint that you got there. So on average, your conversion rate is roughly 1.2. Potential conversions will be about 4,000. Search volume, these are just numbers, just for interest's sake, based purely on what's happening over here. So this helps you keep an eye on, we said we need 5,000 people a month to our website. If we used pay-per-click, we've exceeded the threshold. We can know that there's enough pay-per-click traffic through those keywords to meet our quota. Everyone clicked on it. So you sort of got to get a feel for it. You know that the average cost is going to be 380, and those monthly spends are just based on the amount of click-throughs and that over there. So it does add up quite a lot. But it gives you an idea very quickly of what you're dealing with.
Excellent.
And that's everything. This grid over here, this shows us the most profitable keywords. So depending on where we are, we can always just keep an idea of where there's a lot of money being spent. And you can see credit cards sitting there. That's a huge thing. It's got a lot of profit on it.
We've got one more question. Is there a single article cost applied but none of the other costs associated with the keyword?
Sorry, could you read it again?
Yeah, is there a single article cost applied but none of the other costs associated with the keyword? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm not quite sure. She says for the placeholder keywords.
For the placeholder keywords, is there a single cost for article content? Oh no, I know what she's saying. That's a good question, eh? Yeah, in the reports, when we do that, we'll just exclude that. I've just made a note of that now, that if it is excluded, then the costs don't apply. It'll just be for one unit, not for if there's 20 units required to get the keyword ranked.
Right, so that you've got
currently,
right.
Yeah, currently we're not showing that at the moment, so that's something we can actually add. I never actually even thought of that.
Yeah, it's just the promotion and syndication costs are what we were predominantly focused on, not the actual content costs for the website. They should actually be probably 2 separate numbers because some people already have content for their website.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Ed. Excluded content cost. We'll get that built in. That's a really great question. To answer your question, at the moment, no. The overview on the screen is a global overview. What we'll do is we'll adjust the silo blueprints costings over here. That if it's excluded, it doesn't add it into the. Well, it's not. It doesn't count. It doesn't factor it in.
It doesn't factor it in at all. One of the things that we thought about early on was the cost of actually doing your website is oftentimes much different from the cost of doing your blog or the other social media syndication and promotion activities, because the cost of actually doing, it's not just the content on your website, but it's also the design and the graphics and everything. Like, I've seen people put $100,000 into their website and then turn around and not put anything into promotion and syndication. And so what we were actually focused on more was how much it actually takes for you to get traffic to your website and to make money from it, rather than how much it's actually going to cost you to actually get the website up. But it is a good point. At this juncture, we should definitely go back and include the ability to be able to estimate those costs so that you've got an idea as your website gets larger how much more money you're putting into it.
I was thinking about this now. What we should do is in the quote engine have that in there, so when they come to the end and they run the report, they can fill in, okay, my blog's going to cost me X much to set up, those type of fixed costs, and we can build in the exclusion rules over there, so that if it is flagged as excluded, or only add one credit, not for all the content, because it's effectively one page.
Yeah. Cool.
That will get built up. Excellent. That was a really good question. Come on, guys. We want to make this tool the best that it is, and just ask us whatever you need to know. We want you guys to use this because it's really powerful. It's an extremely powerful tool, and once you get familiar with it, it becomes super easy to use because it's rapid. It works really, really quickly. The plugins are due very soon, so you'll even be able to start importing your stuff really quickly with the export blueprint feature. That's just around the corner now, when they'll be ready for release. Any more questions, guys? Because that's basically it. That's the Silo Framework tab. So just to summarize, very use. When you want to move a keyword, simply click on that icon, say where you want to place it, it moves across. On the advanced screen, multiple checks, press the button, and it shifts it across for you. So start off on the simple screen, and then when you get familiar with the system, use the advanced screen. It's much quicker. You can map out your silos really quickly. And one thing, the typical way I build these, I typically map out all my silos first, then I go per silo, I map out all my categories, so I've done all my silos, and then I come back and I map out all my supporting keywords per keyword. And I keep on rolling back to the top and running down, rolling back to the top, running down. In that process, using the filters. And once I've mapped everything out, then I look at the blueprint in detail, and I decide what I want to keep and what I don't want to keep. I look at the keywords and see how it all works together. And then I just move them back to research the ones that I don't want. And it's very quick. You can map out an idea literally within an hour. You can map out 2 or 3 silos and have an idea of what the website structure will look like.
Excellent. Well, I think that's a wrap for this webinar. And I'll go ahead and...
I hope you guys enjoyed this.
Great. Thanks. Yeah, we're getting a lot of thumbs up from everybody. All right. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate you taking the time out to come listen to me waffle on about it. But I really want you guys to understand and get this process, because tomorrow when we speak about the silo DNA braid, I think a lot of light bulbs are going to start going on, especially when you start seeing how the dots start getting connected. And then by the time we get to the project manager, then you're going to start seeing how the whole story evolves rapidly. When all the metadata and all the planning, the stuff you put together up front starts coming to the actual plan, and it's all sitting there waiting and ready for you. So thank you for your time, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow.
Yep, we'll be back here again tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel.
Cheers, bye.